aging eyes. So, yeah, thank you, Sue, for inviting me today to share a part of my life journey. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Elaine, and I call Mounties home. This is where we worship. And you might know my mum, son, who's part of Gladys's group. Well, maybe you know my sister, Ime, and her husband, Steve, a lot better. So I've been married to Colin for 24 years. We've got 4 children, aged 19, 17, 15, and 12. I grew up sort of in a Christian household with my mom taking us to Sunday school every Sunday. I gave my heart to Jesus at 12, got baptized at 17, but it wasn't until I was 25 when I truly surrendered everything to the Lord. And that was when I had a major encounter with God through a vision. And it was then that I started to develop a relationship with Christ, and I still am learning to walk in the Spirit and the Word. But through the years, I've seen God speak and work through visions and dreams, through prophetic words, through healing, word of knowledge, and often, very often, just in the quietness of His presence. So for the longest time, life was perfect. Life was good. It was smooth sailing. I didn't have any major dramas in life until 5 years ago, in June 2016. I started to get indigestion for 2 weeks, and that was all it was, indigestion, not with every meal, mainly with oily Chinese hawker food. So, and I'm married to a radiation oncologist, and those of you who are married to a doctor, I feel your pain. You get no sympathy. It's with all health professionals. So indigestion was definitely down on the list. But something was different this time. Something in my spirit actually told me there's a mass in there that should not be there. And because we have heard God's voice before, we have walked with God, we know that when God speaks, we better listen. And because of that, Colin organized for me to have an ultrasound. And honestly, I was kind of expecting a stomach ulcer. But that morning, I knew something wasn't right, because within half an hour, they called him and we had a CAT scan done. The very next day, his colleagues organized for me to have a biopsy. And unfortunately, the biopsy came back with 3rd stage pancreatic cancer. So, pancreatic cancer was Colin's area of specialty. It's one of his areas, and he knew exactly what that meant. We had a PAT scan done the very next day, and praise God, it only showed spread to the local area, to the duodenum and the lymph nodes, and nowhere else. And for that, I was grateful. I was only 43 years old at that time. I don't drink, I don't smoke. I was the fittest I've ever been. I was going to the gym 5 times a week at that stage. I was running maybe 3 times a week. We ate healthy, and my youngest at that time was 7 years old, and my oldest was 13. And in that instant, my perfect world just turned upside down. Everything felt like it came crashing down. I can't even begin to describe it. But yet in all of that, I had a sense of peace to a certain degree. I wasn't afraid of death. I was very confident I knew where I was going, but it didn't mean that I wasn't sad. I didn't want to miss all those milestones. I didn't want my kids to grow up without a mom. And Colin and I always said that we were going to grow to 100 years old, hold hands, and the Lord will take us both away at the same time. That was our goal. It still is our goal. So for that whole first week of diagnosis, Colin and I cried ourselves to sleep every single night. But in our sadness, we made a choice. We decided that no matter what the outcome, we are going to still praise our God. Because of what he did on that cross, he is worthy to be praised. And that does not change. So in the first week of my diagnosis, whenever I prayed, an image kept coming back to me, and it was an image of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego in the fire with God. And I knew my God was with me in that fire. He is going to walk with me. He's going to walk me through it. A week after my diagnosis, very close friends of ours, the Davies, flew over from Newcastle just for 7 hours. They flew over, left their 4 kids, and they came and ministered to us. They prayed with us. And as they prayed, I saw an image again, but this time I saw God outside of that furnace. And in an instant, I knew then and then, my God is going to deliver me.